As a member of Generation Z, the youngest generation born from 1997 to today, I've heard many stereotypes about people my age. So my group and I asked people what they thought about these stereotypes.
One of the stereotypes that Gen Z faces is being tech dependent or addicted to technology. This is what some interviewees thought about this.
Do you think Gen Z is tech dependent? And if so, how do you think it affects them?
Loaded question. I don't believe that we're tech dependent, but I believe that we grew up in an area or like a time in life in which technology surrounds us, and so it's not that we're dependent on it, it's just more of like we don't know anything else.
I think tech dependence is a tough term to use. I think that Generation Z is very commonly seen on technology and using technology to kind of enhance their everyday lives. But I think when we say tech dependent, it kind of has a negative connotation to it. But I don't necessarily think that's the truth. I think Generation Z just uses the technology to kind of go about their everyday lives and kind of, to complete a task, they may be more heavily dependent on using technology. But again, I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing.
Some points that were made were that we only grew up with technology and we just use it for our everyday life. And being tech dependent isn't necessarily bad. Another stereotype that Gen Z faces is that we're not so organized, and these were the responses.
Do you believe that Gen Z is less organized?
I think that we have a lot more resources to be organized, but we also have a lot more on our plate at different times in our life compared to other, generations and stuff. We also have a lot more stresses on us.
I don't think Gen Z is less organized. I think they're exposed to more information on a day-to-day basis, and they have to deal with more different types of technology than other generations. So the way they probably organize data in their brains and how they kind of move through the reality is different, but I wouldn't say less organized.
And organization depends upon what you need. And I don't necessarily think they do more or less. I think that they would adapt to whatever their time was. And you're going to find in any generation people who are very organized and people who aren't very organized.
There is also a stereotype that we are lazier than previous generations.
Do you think Gen Z is lazy compared to other generations?
Is like we're not lazy, it's just that we have a lot of pressure on us to do a lot more compared to other generations to make us stand out in comparison to other people, so that we can go to college or we can make something of ourselves, and so that just makes disheartens a lot of people, so it causes them to have an alternate reaction instead of being really, really involved to being like not involved at all.
No, I don't think lazy is the right word for it. I think people do different things in different ways, and I think sometimes in terms of completing a task, Generation Z may, they may be a little bit more tech dependent. They may just go about it in a different way. And so when you're looking at other generations and how they view how Generation Z is going about a task, you may get that idea that they're being lazy. But I think it's just completing a task or going about everyday life in just a different type of way.
Well, I think with more technology, there is the ability to maybe do less physical work, but there's the opportunity to do more mental work. So one might say that they may not be doing as much manual labor as other generations have done, but they do more mental work. So, yeah.
Points that we said include that we have a negative reaction to pressure, and that we do more mental work than physical. Finally, we asked the interviewees about other generalizations that they have heard, and we got interesting answers.
Have you heard of any other generalizations about Gen Z? If so, what are your opinions about them?
I believe Gen Z is probably the most open-minded of the generations. We're growing up in a time in which, race, gender, sexuality, all those kind of things are starting to become more widely accepted amongst different people, and our generation, that's not something that we care about too much in comparison to other traits and other things. Like we care more about like the environment, we care more about volunteering, we care more about making sure people feel comfortable and so I think that just makes us like pretty good, pretty solid.
I haven't really heard a lot of generalizations about them. I think for them growing up, it's going to be interesting to see how they navigate our environment and protecting that and improving our environment, as well as dealing with globalization and all the different technology and information they're exposed to. But I think that Gen Z has a great opportunity to take humanity forward in a really positive way.
Because the only time it matters is when one person or another in the conversation wants to make something of age. You know, then it can matter. Then generations become important and age differences become important. But between you and I, as we talk about this, it doesn't matter all that much.
We were surprised by the positive answers from people, and we learned a lot about others' perspectives on generational differences. It was fun for us to film, and thank you for watching.